let us resume our story. It is AD 1983. Big year, as we said. The fourth year of the series of mysterious deaths in Hinamizawa, also known as Oyoshiro-sama's curse, not the fifth year, which is a bunch of confusion. I hadn't been able to get my used to my new school in Okinomiya, but I had some friends there now. Read about all this and more in that one cancelled manga that only got 3 chapters. Since I got a part-time job at my relative's store, I had some extra pocket money too. I ended up living with my parents after all, so I didn't have to pay for living expenses. It felt great to get to freely spend the money I earned from working. I still used the room Kasai set up for me from time to time. It was a convenient hideout from when I didn't want to see my parents. In fact, I was planning to spend a day there today. Damn that teacher. Told my parents that I was skipping classes. My dad got upset, and that was why I didn't want to stay at home. I had been asking for it, though. My teacher should know that my dad is a Yakuza, and that he gets really scary when he's mad. On the whole, my life had been going well so far. Except that it was boring. The reason I could enjoy this lifestyle is probably because I had to live in secret before. It was a great relief to finally be able to live without having to fake my identity. Well, that might have been a valuable experience. I think I learned from it. I was going grocery shopping and thought I'd get enough food for a week or so. My parents would appreciate my presence more after missing me for a week. I was doing this for their sakes. Oh? Oh, wait! Isn't there a 100 yen sale today? Yeah, there is! I knew how to save my pocket money. I was in a good mood. I spun around with my arms spread out. I felt like I was inside a little whirlwind. My arm hit a motorcycle parked on the sidewalk. It obviously wasn't where it was supposed to be. Oh, what the? Park this motorcycle here. Someone does not learn. I gave the motorcycle a kick with no hesitation. There were 3 motorcycles lined up in a row. They all felt like dominoes. It was beautiful and so much fun. Oh? This was odd. Felt like I'd gone through the exact same experience before. While blinking my eyes in an effort to recall when that was, some people grabbed me by the neck and dragged me into a dark alley. It looked like these punks were the owners of those motorcycles. They started shouting at me. This really was strange. I was having deja vu. The fuck you bitch, what you fucking doing, huh? Fucking pass your head in, bitch. Go pay for what you did. That's right. It was when I met Satoshi-kun for the first time. He came to save me. If I pretended to cry again now, would he come to save me again? I made a wish, and I started to pretend too. And I started pretending to cry and beg for mercy. At that time... Is this how Keiichi gets his first fucking sprite appearance? I doubted my ears. Cut it out. Can't you see she's crying? Oh, son of a bitch, it is. It was a boy about my age. I couldn't quite see his face because of the light illuminating him from behind. Satoshi-kun? Of course, it couldn't be him. It couldn't be. When I snapped out of my daydream, I realized it wasn't Satoshi-kun after all. He looked less gracious than Satoshi-kun, so to speak. If Satoshi-kun was pristine and untouched, then this guy would have scratches all over him. But although they were completely different, I got a similar impression from him somehow. What the hell? What the fuck? We wanna get into what? I fucking say something, son of a bitch. The boy looked a bit taken aback. Well, I just thought you might want to let her go because she's crying, so... Huh? The fuck are you thinking? You're telling us what you think, dude? Whoa, hold on! I'm against violence! What was up with this guy? I felt ashamed that I mistook him for Satoshi-kun for even for a second. He seemed cool at first, but he wasn't as cool as Satoshi-kun after all. But, well, I mean, I'm sorry that your motorcycles were knocked down, but I hope you don't feel too bad about it. How could I make you feel better? Of course, we don't have any money on us, you know. If you don't got the money, then if you got the no money, you gotta pay with your body. These chicks got some real pretty eyes. Let's get some glasses and see how she looks in them. Hey, are you kidding me? I tightened my grip on the stun gun in my pocket. Then I turned it up to a maximum intensity. Don't hold a grudge against me if you die, pervs! I love it. Huff huff. Yeah! Yukishi, what are you trying to make me say? They indulged in their imaginations, which aroused their spirits. Hey now, why are you perverts closing in on me? Your gross hands are gripping the air. Are you gonna try and... Awesome! Yeah! Hey, are you out of your mind? Don't touch me with those filthy hands. Then a flash of light cut through the air. Was that the boy? You stupid fucks! Blows like thunderbolts knocked the punks down. Wow, so he was actually strong after all? What the hell? Do you want some? Huh? You don't have a clue, idiots! What the fuck are you all about? There's nothing arousing. Oh god, Keiichi. God damn it, Keiichi, why? There's nothing arousing about stark nakedness. Leave her socks on, at least. No matter what. That is the ironclad rule. Listen up, monkeys. What's the difference between Homo sapiens and other animals? That's right, humans wear clothes. Human beings without clothes are just animals. If you get aroused only when the girl is completely naked, you are less than human. You might as well be animals. I'm going to knock some sense into you. Clench those teeth! You mentioned a porn movie, didn't you? Let's say there's a cosplay sex video. The definition of cosplay is too broad. To lecture on that subject is as difficult as explaining the spirit of Yamato. To yank what are the three parts of the larger category of school uniforms? Answer me! That's right, regular uniforms, teen uniforms, and school swimsuits. Both the sailor style and blazer style are included under the regular uniforms. By the way, gym shorts and bloomers are likewise. And the color preference between white and navy school swimsuits is the same. Well, doesn't this... I have no control over this. Let's say each of you has a preference in one of these three divisions. Hey, you tall one, you take the regular uniform. Fat one, you take the gym uniform. And you, the short one, you take your school swimsuit picture, the image in your head. Without 3 seconds, are you done? That's not good enough. Do it again. Let's say there's a favorite cosplay. Use your imagination. Come on. Say yes, sir, when you got it. Are you really military men, you maggots? Good, you all seem to have an image in your heads. Let's move on. Imagine that your favorite is your stupid desire. Now think, if you take all off, it's not cosplay anymore, is it? That sort of video is rampant lately. It's just lamentable. Humans without clothes aren't civilized. They're animals. If only the naked, so you think of dogs, monkeys, or pheasants. Pack your bags, and as you know, a huge amount of... Keiichi, what the fuck? My mouth is just kind of hanging open at this point. Like, I feel like even for Keiichi, that was a little much. At that point, I heard a bustle of people running away. This way. I am on a son. I gathered some people. I saw several kids running towards us. Seemed like our back... Oh my god, is it Tomita-kun and Okamura-kun? Ah, shit. Let's get out of here. You punks had just been standing around there agape, but They started running away when they saw that many people. You're awesome, Maibara-san. You had those punks transfixed all by yourself. One of them even had a nosebleed. You're so strong, Maibara-san. Phew. Seems my personal aura has grown more powerful. If this keeps up, I'll soon surpass even Coach's Made in Heaven reality marble. Anyway, are you alright, Mion? The boy was apparently called Maibara. He turned around to face me. Even the way he mistook me for Mion sounded like Satoshi-kun. But Satoshi-kun isn't a pervert like him! I was anxious to see how you'd fight back, but I guess the three guys were too many, huh? I don't believe it! I was still confused. I couldn't yet grasp the situation. Who was this guy? Mion has friends like him? I was still spacing out in shock, so I forgot to move until his hand touched my head. Oh no. Well, you know, I'll forget that I saw you cry, so cheer up, okay? Hey Zaki, how's it going? Rub rub, rub rub. The boy called Maibara stroked my head roughly. It didn't feel good. It hurt, actually. But still, his hand had the same warmth. Later on, Mion told me about him. He was called Maibara Keiichi. Keiichi for short. He's one grade below us. Not only that, but he just moved to Hinamizawa. Thanks to his attitude and lack of manners, he'd already become an idol in their class. Mion joyously explained all of this. Sure, he sounded like a fun kid. I knew why Mion was into him. But Satoshi-kun is way cooler. He wasn't worth stealing from Sis. Or was he? My heart throbbed. I was excited. It felt like I'd gotten a new toy. Shion! I was curious as to what kind of relationship Mion intended to build with him. I'd love to tease her about it. Thanks, Kei-chan. Let me buy you a drink. My uncle's restaurant is just nearby, so why don't we go there? Satoshi-kun would refuse out of modesty. But Maibara Keiichi said okay within 2 seconds. Well then, I couldn't wait to tease the two of them. My boring life suddenly became bright again. Whoa, hey, don't cling to my arm. Oh, you don't like it? Well, I don't hate it, but it's just touching me and... do I bother you? Maibara Keiichi was fun. Mion thought the same way I did. She would always talk about him. I was happy for her. It made me smile. I guess Kei-chan really is your favorite, huh, sis? What's the most interesting thing about him? Let's see. To put it plainly, he's just funny. Example, just a couple of days ago in the club, Mion really liked him, but didn't seem to think it was love yet. She's reserved in that area, so that was really like her. As for me, well, I didn't hate him. My feelings weren't the same as Mion's. Kei-chan was just too childish compared to Satoshi-kun. I wondered how Satoshi-kun was doing. Was he waiting for things to cool down somewhere far away? The case had already been solved, though. That dopehead was the murderer. There was no reason for him to wait anymore. I shook my head. I shouldn't think about it too much. Oh wait, I know. The case was confidential, so the arrest of the culprit hadn't been made public. So Satoshi-kun hadn't realized that he could come back. No, he's a little thick-headed. Maybe he'd be waiting for things to calm down until the end of time. But if so, didn't he give a call to Satoko at least? Oh, like you care! He should tell her he's living in a faraway place, but that he'd be coming home soon. That stupid Satoko! He'd been living with Frederica ever since Satoshi-kun went away. Nobody would pick up the phone even if he called. God damn you, Satoko! Stupid girl! Don't you want your big brother to come home? Given Satoshi-kun's personality, he wouldn't remember any phone numbers other than his home number. So he wouldn't be able to contact anybody in Hinamizawa. Maybe he's been calling Satoko every night. He keeps ringing, but nobody picks up. Then he'd assume Satoko might be taking a bath or be in the restroom. He'd put on a puzzled smile while mumbling, like always. I'm sorry, what the fuck was with that sound I just made? I imitated his voice without realizing it. After the... Eh? What? What's up? Didn't you say something, Shion? I laughed it off and urged Mion to continue. I realized then that her tone had changed. I hadn't been listening to her because I was thinking about Satoshi-kun. I thought she was still happily talking about Kate-chan, but Mion sounded grim now. Her faint smile looked pitiful. It was too late to ask what was going on. So instead, I concentrated on her story instead. After all that, Uncle gave everybody a doll as... Oh, God, we're here. A doll as a thank you gift. Everybody except for me. Okay, except for you. I wanted one too, but I couldn't say it in front of everybody. You still can't express your needs, huh? And then, Mion sniffled. I realized that she was on the verge of tears. The cutest doll was in Kei-chan's bag. And you wanted that doll? It didn't matter which one, but although Kei-chan knew only I didn't get one, he didn't give it to me. He didn't give it to me. He said the doll wouldn't fit me and that I should be born a boy in my next life. That's what he said. Oh. That was Keiichi's weak point. He might be fun and popular, but he wasn't mature. Not like Satoshi. I want to start all over. I want to go back to when I just met him and start all over. I want him to treat me like a girl from the beginning. Don't take it too seriously. It'll be okay because it's just you who wants to start over while he didn't even notice anything wrong. It'd be harder if you guys fought over it or something. Can I start over? If you didn't cry in front of him, it's not too late. You can cry as much as you want now, and if you show him a different side of you tomorrow on, you can still fix it. Okay. Amazed how insensitive he is, but part of that is just the impression you've been giving him so far. If you change your attitude from tomorrow on, you can still change his mind. How do I change my attitude? How? If I tell you to act cute, you'd start going to school in frilly clothes. Don't think and just be natural. But without overdoing it, pay attention to how you behave around him. And don't forget to be cautious of Rina. He's a bit ahead of you so far. Kei-chan might prefer Rina at this point. Oh, it's true. Rina's really girly. She's cute and caring. That just means you can't slack off for even a moment, sis, because you've got a rival. Tears can attract men, but they don't anchor them. You should always be smiling, but cry when it really counts. That's how you typically do it. Maybe I should try that on Kei-chan myself. No, don't! He's the boy you like, so I guess it's natural that I like him too. How can I attract him? Hey sis, why don't we have a competition over him? No, never! I'll kick you into orbit if you come near Hinamizawa. I'm happy for you, sis. It's not too late at all. It's important to know the distance between the boy you love and yourself and shift the way you appeal to him to compensate. The boy I love is missing, you know? I don't even know where he is, or when he's coming back. Compared to that, you're very lucky. Yon was saying she'd do her best, from tomorrow on, with red, tearful eyes. But I sensed a deeply negative feeling emerging inside of me. Nobody was blaming me on for being happy with Keiichi. I wasn't envious. I wasn't jealous. I didn't want her to be blamed the same way I was blamed. It was just that there was no space for Satoshi-kun in Mion's mind anymore. Filled as it was with Kei-chan and her other friends now. It didn't matter to her if Satoshi-kun came back or not. I don't think that's true. Just like how she didn't care if it was sunny or rainy tomorrow. Okay, Rika. What about me then? Had I been thinking about Satoshi-kun all the time for the past year? I wasn't proud of my own answer. Oh. And become, wait. Never mind. I had become used to life without Satoshi-kun. His absence didn't hurt me anymore. I was getting used to life with Mayabara Keiichi. If I let my guard down, he might just fill up the space I'd been saving for Satoshi-kun. If Sonozaki Shion prayed harder for Satoshi-kun to return, he might have come home already. Where did Satoshi-kun go? Last year, right after his disappearance, I paid close attention to the information circulating in the Sonozaki family and its underground connections, and I frequently went to the police station to check with Oishi for new information. Even with all that, I couldn't get any new leads on his whereabouts. I eventually became interested in Oyashiro-sama's curse, which surrounded Satoshi-kun's disappearance. I researched the dark history of the village. The more I looked into it, the less likely a survival seemed. I'd returned Mio-san's scrapbooks to her, and then I hadn't gone to the library since. I started a new life in a new school, and made new friends, and in the same way, falling leaves covered the ground. I felt like I was losing sight of what was really important to me. It was already almost the end of spring. They said that summer was coming early and it'd be very hot this year. Normally it'd be the rainy season now, but we'd had no rain at all. The Watanagashi festival was right around the corner. It had been almost a year since Satoshi-kun went missing. In Hinamizawa, they don't allow you to talk openly about Oyashiro-sama's curse or the series of mysterious deaths. So everybody acts like the murder of Satoshi-kun's aunt never happened. That's because Hojo Satoshi-kun was a member of the family of traitors. He fell victim to Oyashiro-sama's curse on the 4th year running. He was demoned away. Everybody was trying to forget about his existence and erase their memories of him. Don't make him disappear because of the curse. Don't erase his existence. Satoshi-kun was living in Hinamizawa just a year ago. He went to school. He was an A student. He was a member of the Hinamizawa Fighters. He could never hit the ball when it really mattered. He was unreliable but pure. He was warm. Because of the curse, people made him disappear. They stopped mentioning his name and acted like he never existed. A new resident like Mayabara Keiichi wouldn't even know him. Seriously believed that Satoshi-kun had transferred out. Miss you, Satoshi-kun. I want to go shopping with you again. I want to be in a baseball with you again. A baseball game with you again. I get a cold drink afterwards. I want to tease you. And I want you to stroke my head again. Your hand was so warm. I felt as if my whole body was being caressed. Satoshi. I haven't opened this notebook in a while. My feelings haven't been written down for over 150 pages. This notebook is the key to my heart. The other me, who's been sleeping since last year, is slowly waking up. Da, da, da. I'm quite amazed by your dirty deeds, Keiichi-san. He is a boy, after all. Mi-chan, Chi-chan. Keiichi-kun looks confused. How? Did you hear that, sis? We're not playing tug of war here. Are you trying to tear Kei-chan apart? I'm not playing tug of war. You're the one who's stretching him. Go back to Okinomiya, Shion. Okay, I will. Oops. I let go of Keiichi suddenly, so he and Sis flew off like a rubber band. Keiichi rolled on the ground while Sis was stuck in a bush head first. What lively people. See you, Kei-chan. Sis might assault me if I stick around any longer, so I'll get going. Oh, Jion, thanks for today. Ah, forget it. I didn't do much. See you, Shion. His hand landed on my head. Rub, rub, rub. Stroked my head pretty roughly, but the warmth reminded me. Excuse me, I'm going. See you, sis. Don't ever come back here again. Rena, keep your eyes on her. Satoko, set traps. Meikashi, purify this area with salt. The warmth remained on the top of my head. It felt ticklish. And sore. I had to stop. I got off my moped. I'm just kidding, my moped, and pushed that aching spot against a telephone pole. Sorry, Satoshi-kun, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I never forgot about you. I still remember you. I'm worthless without you. I can't stand life without you because it's gray and cold and boring. It's true. I never smile because you aren't here. I can't. See you, Shion. Keiichi's face appeared in my mind. I recall the touch of his hand stroking my head. It wasn't warm. I wasn't happy. It was rough and painful. I hate that insensitive guy. He's too childish and rude and cold. He's like a stray dog. I wasn't happy. It wasn't warm. I wasn't happy or overjoyed at all. Oh, Satoshi Go. Oh. Satoshi-kun mumbled. He didn't know what to say in a situation like this. But he knew that he had better say something. He wanted to say something, but he didn't know what to say. So he just mumbled. I'm sorry, Shion. Why are you apologizing, Satoshi-kun? I'm the one who should apologize, even though I said I'd wait for you, even though I believed my heart wouldn't change. My heart is full of holes. You're leaking out from the small cracks in my heart, little by little. You're leaking out from me. Are you suffering because I'm here? Why? You're so precious to me. Don't say that. I've been here with you all this time. But I think I'm hurting you by continuing to exist. I don't want that. That's not true. No. Where have you been, Satoshi-kun? You weren't with me. Tell me where you are. What's the address? What's the postal code? What's the name of this city? What's the street number? Tell me. There isn't an address. I knew it. Telling me you've always been with me, always by my side. It's such a cliche. Which do you prefer, Shion? If I can give you strength, I'll stay by your side forever. But if you're suffering because of me, I'll disappear right away. Don't say that. With you, always. I'm gonna be with you forever. Okay, I'll stay with you then. A car passed by. The noise snapped me out of my reverie. The sky was turning orange. I should get home before it gets cold. I should go home to Okinomiya. You're with me, right? Are you with me right now, Satoshi-kun? I walked back to my moped. My feet sank into the grass. Crunch, crunch, crunch. I stopped when I reached my bike, but then I heard an extra footstep. I gasped. I could feel somebody else's presence. I'm not stupid. Nobody else was around here. Nobody had suddenly appeared behind me. I wasn't surprised to find nobody when I turned around. But he was definitely still there. Satoshi-kun. I couldn't see him, but he was there. He was there for me. Satoshi-kun never lies. He said he'd be with me all this time. I'd just been too insensitive to feel his existence until now. Satoshi-kun. Satoshi-kun. The breeze tickled my hair. It felt cold, but to me it was nothing but the warmth of his hand. It took me a while to notice that my cheeks were wet with tears. I was too scared to sleep. If I went to sleep, I might not find Satoshi-kun there in the morning. So I kept talking to him until I passed out. I told him about what happened while he was missing. I told him that I realized how much I loved him after he went away. I'd searched for him, looking into various different things. I'd gathered underground information through Kasai and bargained for police information with Oishi. But I couldn't find any leads. A long time passed, but I kept thinking about him. Etc., etc. I told him all the small details from my daily life. The places I wanted to go with him. The things I wanted to do with him. The food I wanted to share with him. And I told him a lot of things. I was sitting up at first, but I got tired, so I lay down. I got tired of moving my mouth too, so I started talking to him in my mind. It was the happiest night I'd ever had, which is really sad when you think about it. Like, not in a sad, that's sad kind of way, but like a genuinely that's sad way. When I woke up, I didn't find Satoshi-kun by my side. I knew it somehow. I was afraid of it. That was why I didn't want to go to sleep. But at least I got to see him for one night. Just when I'd resigned myself to that. I felt Satoshi-kun's presence again. It wasn't a dream after all. I thanked God. Oh. And so I began my strange life with Satoshi-kun. As promised, Satoshi-kun was always by my side. He couldn't laugh, mumble, or stroke my head. But he was always with me. Always right by my side. He disappeared sometimes, but he'd come back when I looked for him. It seemed that all I could hear was his footsteps. That's just the way it was. It was a bit sad, but I was still satisfied. His presence was really faint, so it was hard to sense him in a crowd. But he never left me. If he were tangible, I'd be taking his hand all the time so that he wouldn't be lost. In contrast, I could feel him very strongly in a quiet environment. Of course, I couldn't tell what his expressions were because he was just a presence. My present. But after I got used to it, I could tell what he was thinking. At first, I could only tell if he was laughing or not. Eventually, I started to feel his emotions more strongly. I could communicate with him normally. I was usually alone with him, though. I didn't want to go to school or hang out with my friends anymore. But Satoshi-kun got upset about that. He'd keep mumbling unhappily. Now that I knew he'd always be with me, I shouldn't just stay home all the time. I was sticking to my time alone with him, however, because I was scared that he might suddenly disappear again, and I wanted to make the most out of the time I was sharing with him right now. I must have been worrying too excessively. Satoshi-kun will always be by my side. Yeah, that was his promise. He never breaks his promises. I was fine because he was there. Of course, I couldn't tell anybody about him, not even Sis. I could try to explain it to them, but they'd never understand. I was certain that he was with me. So I'd be alright. I'd be alright. I never get fed up with life with him. He's really cute, you know? We always walk together, but when I stop, he always walks one extra step. It's so adorable. I love it. Notebook, page 159. Shion-san, what are you going to do on Watanagashi this year? I guess I'll have some fun at the festival. Maybe I'll tease Sis and her friends. I wanted to go to the festival with Satoshi-kun. I knew he liked to see me having fun with everybody. He might get jealous if I play with Kei-chan. But Satoshi-kun isn't very sensitive in that way. Satoshi-kun loved to see me and my friends have fun, so I should have a lot of fun for his sake. Then I'd talk about the day with him later on. How are you going to Hinamizawa? I can give you a ride if you want. I'm taking my moped, so you don't have to. That won't do. Aren't you going to the family party afterwards? I can't let you drive under the influence. He won't let me drive, but he's kind enough to let me drink. Ha ha ha! Alright, take me then. Good. Let's leave before nightfall. I'll come pick you up around that time. After Kasai left, I sensed that Satoshi-kun was excited about going to the festival. Tanagashi, huh? So, it's been almost a year since you went away. Satoshi-kun seemed confused. I bet you're going all, right now, aren't you? We laughed together. Welcome! Here's your net animal! Great! Wow, these fish are so active! They look delicious! I could eat this little one raw right here. Huh? What are you saying, Mion-san? Mi-chan, you eat goldfish? Did you eat the one I gave you last year, too? No, I didn't say that. Sis shook her head hard. She turned all red. But you just said it. You said they look delicious. I heard it too. Sis eats everything as long as it fits inside her mouth. If it's really good, I'll try it once. No, you can't, Rika-chan! You're going to get sick! Wait a minute. Hey, you. How long have you been here, Shion? Hi, Kei-chan, Sis, and everyone else. Good evening. Ah! When did you get here, Shion? I've been here since you were at the chow mein booth. I found you guys quickly since you were making so much noise. Hey, you're not in our club. Get lost. Don't be mean, Sis. Right, Kei-chan? You're fine if I come with you guys, right? I took Kei-chan's arm and held it. Puff, puff. We were going to have a ball. I went around the booths with Sis and her friends. I joked around, laughed out loud. I teased Kei-chan and Sis, too. Kei-chan was at the center of the group, so if I did something to him, it naturally involved everybody else. It looked like Satoshi-kun was having a hard time finding his own spot in the crowd. When I glanced at him in a quiet moment, he smiled and told me to have fun without worrying about him. Girl! If he were tangible, I'd pull his arm to join the crowd. It made me sad that I couldn't do that. I bumped into somebody's shoulder. It was obviously my fault, so I apologized right away. As it turned out, it was somebody I knew. Oh, looks like you're having fun. Good evening, Shion-chan. The moon looks beautiful tonight, doesn't it? Oh, it's been forever, Takano-san, and you were... Oh, she's not Mio anymore? Nice to meet you. I'm Tomitake, a freelance cameraman. I heard you were Mion-chan's twin sister. Nice to meet you too, Tomitake-san. I heard you were a great cameraman. Wink, wink. Please take a picture of me someday. I'm just an amateur dreaming of going pro. Well, you're actually great, Jiro-san. You're good at many things. No, I need to study more. I have no talent, so I have to put out a lot of effort to compensate. They must have been in a relationship. You two look so happy together. Am I interrupting you? Oh no, I appreciate your consideration, but you're not interrupting us at all. And you can call me Mio like before, not Takano-san. It's a bit hard for me to call someone older than me by her first name. I suppose I could pretend I was at school again and call you Oni-sama, but... well, never mind. I smiled bashfully, and Takano-san smiled back elegantly. Actually, they are kind of going there, aren't they? I haven't seen you in the library since. I wanted to talk to you more as a fellow researcher. Well, when I feel like it. A fellow researcher? Are you interested in it too, Shion-chan? I mean, in the legend of this village? Tomitake-san raised his eyebrows. As far as I knew, Takano-san's hobby wasn't exactly normal. On the surface, her research dealt with the cultural history of ancient Hinamizawa, but its main focus was the Watanagashi festival from ancient times. The cannibal banquet in which they captured and gutted a living sacrifice. Her research covered various stories surrounding that and other legends of cruelty. It was nothing if not gory. That was where her main interests lay. So I didn't feel comfortable being called a fellow researcher, to be honest. But objectively speaking, her research notes were fun to read. It was then that I learned the loud booms of the taiko drums. The main event of the Watanagashi festival, the dedication dance, was about to start. According to Takano-san's hypothesis, the part of the dance where the shrine maiden tears open a futon mat represents gutting a live victim. It's starting. I should head over. Aren't you guys coming to see Rika-chama's performance? Tomitake-san looked bewildered. That mean he wasn't coming? Takano-san giggled, then whispered in my ear. To tell you the truth, we're thinking of sneaking into the ritual storehouse. Eh? She made it sound like she was going to do something fun. But it wouldn't be amusing to anyone who knew what the ritual storehouse was. The ritual storehouse, or the storehouse for ritual implements, is sort of a treasure house belonging to the Furude Shrine. I'd heard that Oyashiro-sama's sacred treasures were stored in there. Only people from the Furude family and selected members of the other 2-3 families are allowed to enter. They believe that if other people enter, the place will be desecrated. Everyone in Hinamizawa must have been curious about what was in there when they were kids. But the storehouse was always tightly locked. You couldn't just peek into it either. Kids would get chided if they played around it, so they'd learn to stay away. I didn't like being around it myself since I was familiar with all that. Even though I didn't believe in cursives, I still didn't want to be near it. Nothing good can come from breaking the rules. Were they still going to enter the ritual storehouse despite all that? I'm pretty sure it's tightly locked. It was until last year. Meikashi had the heavy bolt changed to a cheap padlock because the bolt was too heavy for her to lift. Did you know that? No. But even if it's... Also, hold the heck on! Wasn't there this huge big conversation about how strong Rika is for being able to lift the hoe? Not her hoe, the hoe. I feel like there's an inconsistency in that argument. No, but even if it's cheap, it's still locked, isn't it? Hiro-san is very skilled. Oh, are you good at lockpicking? Once the Watanagashi ritual starts, everyone will gather around the stage, right? Then the area around the storehouse will be completely devoid of people. Nice. This place will be a blind spot. Can't see the forest for the trees, I suppose. According to her hypothesis, the ancient tools used for human dissection and torture could be found in the ritual storehouse. Why don't you join us in a bit? It's now or never. So maybe I'll see you then. Takano-san, what are you telling her? Why do you call her Takano-san? Just girl talk. Let's go to some dark place for a quick date. Huh? Takano-san walked against the flow of the crowd alongside Tomitake-san. The ritual storehouse, huh? It was supposedly filled with torture tools. Considering what they had in there in the underground torture room at the Sonozaki house, it's quite possible. Satoshi-kun fell victim to the curse in the 4th year. His aunt's death was the sign of Oyashiro-sama's curse. Satoshi-kun was a sacrifice to pacify Oyashiro-sama's anger. That was what Takano-san said last year. It was just her hypothesis. At present, I wanted to deny her hypothesis because I wanted to believe that Satoshi-kun was still alive. If her hypothesis was correct, either some religious fanatic or some Bodhi from the 3 families must be imitating the curse in order to revive the ancient custom of Onigafuchi. That would mean that it was them who killed Satoshi-kun. But what if the ritual storehouse was filled with garbage instead of torture implements? Maybe it was filled with broken palanquins or freshly painted signboards for the festival. But then, it wasn't really hard for me to believe that it was filled with the chemical smell of paint. Maybe I'll get to deny the hypothesis that Satoshi-kun was sacrificed by seeing the inside of the ritual storehouse for myself. Whatever was in there, it didn't mean that Satoshi-kun would come back. What should I do, Satoshi-kun? Since most people went to see Rika-chama's ritual dance, the festival grounds were deadly quiet. Uh-oh. Even so, I couldn't sense Satoshi-kun. Did he go somewhere? Or was I not paying enough attention? Or maybe he wasn't feeling any emotions in particular. After thinking for a while, I decided to go in with them. It had been almost a year since Satoshi-kun's disappearance. I'd been avoiding the truth because I was afraid he might be dead. But now I had a chance. I had a chance to see the inside of the ritual storehouse. I felt as though something divine had arranged that coincidence. On my way to the storehouse, I noticed Keiichi. He was jumping up and down, trying to see Rika-chama's dedication dance over people's shoulders. If I took him along, we could split the— Oh, damn, Shion. I think I was trying to figure out your intentions for like 10 minutes and when we were back when we streamed Higurashi. It was one sentence for you! Yashiro-sama might put a curse on me for entering his divine storehouse. I wanted a partner in crime. God damn. It's the boy I love disappeared last year because of— Oh! Maybe Mion's love should disappear this year. Oh my god! Whoa, what am I thinking? That must have been the demon inside me. I took the thought out of my head. What's going on, Shio? Where's the best place to see Rika-chan's dance from? Is it far? Huh? I never said I was going to show you that. We made it. Does Keiichi not have any shocked expressions? Or are they just not showing them? We made it to the ritual storehouse. Keiichi was baffled by the whole situation. Our timing had been perfect. I could see Tomitaka-san picking the lock. Even though Keiichi must have been curious, he insisted that we shouldn't go in. But I talked him into it anyway. He was quick to change his mind when Tomitaka-san joined in. It was completely dark inside, so Takano-san lit a battery-powered lantern. A small entry space appeared before us. It's so dark in here. Take care not to trip over anything. I appreciate the concern. Okay, doorman, keep a good watch. We're shutting the door now. Takano-san closed the door with a smile, as if leaving Tomitaka-san out on purpose. Man, alright everyone, have fun. As soon as the heavy door was closed, we were surrounded by quiet darkness. All we could rely on was Takano-san's lantern. It'll be fine. It's an outdoor lantern with backup batteries inside. It won't go out or anything. Takano-san teased Keiichi a little. Keiichi, in turn, looked a little pale. He seemed to be able to recognize the sanctity of the building, even though he wasn't from Hinamizawa. Let's go in. Here we go. There. After Takano-san opened the heavy inner door, a dusty, foul smell flowed out. It was like the smell of a pantry that hadn't been opened in years, the smell of a fish market mixed together. Didn't know exactly how to describe it, but it was a bad smell. From listening to the echo of our footsteps, I could tell that this room was much, much bigger than the one we were just in. When Takano-san raised her lantern, I could clearly see just how big it was. Wow! At the far side of the wall, there was a statue of some kind of god, staring down at us intruders. The way it was lit by the lantern gave it a powerful appearance, and it scared me. That's the guardian god of Hinamizawa, Oyashiro-sama. I looked up at the statue, which was holding its religious ornaments. If Satoshi-kun's disappearance really was a curse, I couldn't forgive this god. I found myself irritated by the way the statue looked down at me. Damn you, Oyashiro-sama. If you really made Satoshi-kun disappear, I'll never forgive you. Never! Keiichi didn't seem to understand the significance of the storehouse. He looked bored. Takano-san noticed that and took out her scrapbooks to show him the brutal history of ancient Hinamizawa. I'd heard that story already, so I decided to walk around by myself, as I knew the significance. Ooh, oh, I don't like this one. Ooh, that's making, oh, that, like, oh, I got goosebumps from that. Ooh, okay. Since I knew the significance of all these tools, I felt a little nauseated. Though they certainly wouldn't jump out to me, I still found them intimidating. They looked as if they were craving for fresh blood after not having been used in hundreds of years. All the tools looked similar to the ones I saw in the underground torture room at the Sonozaki main house. If those tools were the progenies of torture implements, these would be their ancestors. All the implements here looked old. I doubted they could really be used. They weren't kept maintained like the ones at the Sonozaki house. So, did that mean they shouldn't scare me? No, on the contrary. They told me that cruel rituals were indeed performed in this village at one point. Now that I found scary. What Takano-san told me was the truth. When I stopped, Satoshi-kun also stopped behind me one step later. I felt no emotional change in Satoshi-kun. I couldn't tell if he was feeling something or not. I knew he was there, but I had no idea how he was feeling. I felt scared of him for the first time. If he could answer me, I'd want to ask him, who demoned you away? Are you listening, Satoshi-kun? I couldn't tell if he heard me or not. He left as if he didn't hear anything. I could tell that he'd been sulky ever since we got here. I suddenly felt lonely, so I looked for him while walking around. I realized then that there was an altar in front of the statue. He might be there. It was a clean altar, an altar ornamented with religious artifacts. It was kept well maintained. It was kept well maintained. I saw no dust. That would mean, well, the flowers in the vase weren't wilting. I saw a pretty handkerchief under the vase. It looked out of place amongst everything else. I was fairly certain it was Fururerika's handkerchief. That would mean that this storehouse is maintained daily. It wasn't a forgotten ruin buried in dust. So the brutality that dwelled in this storehouse is still alive and well in Hinamizawa. Actually, it looks like, from your description, it sounds like it's being completely ignored except for one thing. That's right. Something as ambiguous as Oyashiro-sama's curse. Nothing more than a simple delusion of the villagers. As Takano-san said, everything that happens in this world is done by humans. I'd accused Oyashiro-sama of demoning away Satoshi-kun. But Oyashiro-sama is just a statue made of bronze or wood. It's nothing but an icon. There are, however, human beings who would try to make that icon seem real. The series of mysterious deaths in Hinamizawa is the result of human action. It shouldn't be called Oyashiro-sama's curse. If Satoshi-kun was the fourth year's victim, then he was victimized by a human being who was just acting the part of the curse. The person who demoned away Satoshi-kun must not be very far from me. The truth behind Satoshi-kun's disappearance was not so far from my grasp. Thump! I was startled by the sound. It sounded like somebody had dropped something. I looked over at Takano-san and Keiichi. Takano-san was still lecturing him. Did she drop her scrapbook or something? Thump, 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 thump! The sound came from right behind me, not from them. I'd never heard Satoshi-kun do that. It sounded like somebody was stomping on the floor in frustration. What is it? Thump, 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 thump! The sound continued, ignoring my question. I heard it right nearby. It sounded as though a child was hopping on a wooden floor somewhere distant. What's wrong, Satoshi-kun? Are you angry about something? I couldn't read his expressions. I thought he was mad, but I didn't sense any emotion from him at all. Was he mad that I touched the altar? Maybe you weren't supposed to do that. Thump, 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 thump! It's not that I'd been able to communicate with Satoshi-kun in a concrete way. I just talked to him. I was never expecting him to react like that. I didn't sense a willingness to communicate with from this creepy sound. And a chill ran up my spine. I felt as if all my pores were opening. I'd been thinking that it was Satoshi-kun stomping on the floor. Hey, you. You're Satoshi-kun, aren't you? The sound stopped when I asked that. It wasn't a yes or a no. Just silence. Satoshi-kun wouldn't scare me like that. I realized suddenly that the sound hadn't come from Satoshi-kun. A cold shiver shot through my feet, and I sprung a step backward. The sound had come from right there. Even though I jumped back, it was still just a few meters away. Satoshi-kun would sometimes let me hear his footsteps when I walked. But if that wasn't Satoshi-kun, then there was no guarantee I'd hear its footsteps. So that invisible being could already be right in front of my eyes. I just wouldn't see it. I forgot everything and ran, bending my ears as much as possible for any sound, listening for any footsteps pursuing me. I ran right into Keiichi and clung to him, timidly turning back to look. The dimly lit area before the altar was quiet, like nothing was happening. Seeing that chilling, dark stillness, realizing I was just in that space, made me even more frightened now. What's up, Shion? Did you get scared? Keiichi made fun of me. Even though he'd looked horrified just a little while ago, he now looked satisfied to see me scared too. I know girls tend to get freaked out by haunted houses. Well, I don't mind it. Anyway, let's go, before Takano-san leaves us behind. I pretended to be fine, but I wasn't sure if I was able to hide my fear entirely. The footsteps were chasing me. They were outside the illumination of the lantern as if they couldn't go into the light. The presence never left us, however. It followed us like a fourth member of the party. Sometimes it made a stomping sound as if wanting some recognition, but neither Takano-san nor Keiichi seemed to notice it. It was possible for Takano-san to be ignoring it, but Keiichi would never ignore it. If he could hear it, he would have said something. So, just like with Satoshi-kun, only I could hear it. What was this thing that was making me so scared? Was it Satoshi-kun in a bad mood? Was it possible that the presence I believed to be Satoshi-kun might not have been him at all? Thump, thump, thump. What are you upset about, Satoshi-kun? Tell me if I did something wrong. I'll apologize. Thump, 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 thump. If you aren't Satoshi-kun, then where did he go? When did you take his place? Thump, thump, thump. Are you alright? Huh? I'm fine. You look pale, though. Then I'd appreciate it if you didn't stretch my clothes too much. Oh, sorry. Oh, am I interrupting you two? I decided to engage in the conversation to help myself ignore the sound from behind. I didn't hear the sound as much, and it became a bit more distant. Maybe did it please? I shouldn't pay attention to it. It wouldn't bother me if I didn't hear it. I should just ignore the noise. Takano-san, you're researching whether those customs survived into the present. You are, right? Thump thump. What I'm about to tell you is a secret, alright? I told you, Shion-chan, because you're an understanding person, but the other villagers don't want to hear it. If things go awry, I could be ganged up on and punished. He smiled at me like a witch. Thump thump. My Barakun, you keep it a secret too, okay? If this gets out, I could suffer Oyashiro-sama's curse or be made into a sacrifice. It's the curse, then. I wonder what kind of death it'll be this year. The sacrifice. And will I be thrown into the Onigafuchi swamp while still alive? And it is tonight, you know. The night of Oyashiro-sama's curse. It certainly is. If the curse strikes for a fifth time, it will happen tonight. Thump, thump, thump. Takano-san pulled out an old scrapbook from her paper bag and started turning the pages. She opened it to the page with that one article. It was the article about the brutal murder of a Watanabe victim. Happened in the Meiji era. This is a story that actually happened. It was around the end of the Meiji era. They discovered an unknown mangled corpse, the victim of a murder. Thump, 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 thump. Never before has there been a corpse treated with such cruelty and inhumanity. Thump, thump, thump. Hey, you guys seriously don't hear that? It's freaking loud. How could you not hear it? Ah, hell, it's freaking noise. Ah, hell, welcome to my feet. Anyway, so freaking noisy. Cut it out already. In the next moment, y'all heard a squeaking noise. He turned around in surprise. Just Tommy, right? It was just Tomitake-san opening the door. Ah, ha, 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 ha. Did I startle you? Oh, Jiro-san, could you not resist seeing inside? This is a splendid treasure trove of torch devices. I'll pass on that. I'm bad with this sort of thing by nature. Takano-san laughed as if making fun of Tomitake-san for being such a scaredy cat. In any case, the dance and ceremony are over, and everyone's going down to the river. The festival as a whole will be over within minutes. Time was up. I'd never expected that Tomitake-san would save me from a nightmare. His face suddenly looked heroic. Oh, H-kun, are you leaving too? With double quotation marks? I've seen enough. Leon, you're good to go, right? You're good too, right? Let's get out of here. I want some fresh air. I agree. Let's leave. I went into the entry room and turned around. Takano-san was taking photos in a mad rush, though our time was up. I didn't hear that sound anymore. I didn't feel that presence. I didn't feel Satoshi-kun either. But somehow I wasn't too sad about that, even if he followed me out here. I wouldn't be able to tell if it was really him or somebody else. Ooh. Okay. Sapuke. Sapuke. Whew. Defiles. 172. The underground torture room is officially called the Underground Ritual Storehouse. So, do torture room and ritual storehouse mean the same thing? According to Takano-san's theory, bloody rituals, including Watanagashi, have been passed down among the three families even after the Meiji era. The rituals are always ready to be performed. Their form of worship always revolved around torture. Suriname Mizawa's history involved a great deal of human slaughter. Takano-san's theory is correct. The underground storehouse at the Sonozaki house looked well maintained. Takano-san is right about that too, since the Sonozaki family and the Furude family both have ritual storehouses. The Kimiyoshi family must have one too. Oh, Jesus. After all, these ancient and brutal customs are still handed down through the generations. Should remain armed with the knowledge that occult events are still secretly being performed in this cursed village. 173. The sanctity of the ritual storehouse is one of the most prominent elements in the worship of Oyashiro-sama. Of course, I knew that since I'm originally from Hinamizawa. But violating that sanctity is actually a more serious problem than I thought. Takano-san's research shows that the history of the ritual storehouse goes way back. Ritual elements within have long been viewed as inviolable objects, which is why it was strictly forbidden to enter. Takano-san's theory says that Watanagashi was once a public execution, performed to stabilize the reign of the three families, rather than a purely religious ritual. If so, the ritual should hardly be called sacred. Under those circumstances, the implements should have been despised as symbols of hatred and fear. When instruments of fear are too visible, it only creates a reign of terror. But keep them as hidden as possible and they gain divinity. Many said they would become tainted if the layman touched them. The only reason for that was to preserve their false prestige through secrecy, since they would lose their sanctity if revealed before the common folk. In other words, the true identity of the ritual storehouse is sacredness. Fear. That was the true emotion ruling over this village. Well, very well put. The reason why Takano-san and Tomitake-san were cursed is because they broke into the ritual storehouse. I don't know how the villagers found out about it. Maybe somebody was watching. Maybe there was an anti-theft alarm. Either way, our intrusion must have been reported to the highest level of the curse's system. That's because, considering the distance between the village and the site where Takano-san's body was found, she must have been killed right after we came out of this ritual storehouse. It was done very quickly. It's possible that a special assassination team exists for this purpose, or that the plan had been set up a long time ago. They might have been secret agents of the Sonozaki family, but the latter sounds more valid. But if so, who would have been the victim if nobody broke into the ritual storehouse? A good question. Okay, here's my thought. Next is chapter 10, I think 10. I'm taking a break. When I come back, I don't know if we'll do more Higurashi or save that, and because either way, the next Meakashi stream is going to be the last. And I don't want to like stop right at a cliffhanger, so we'll see. But anyway, once again, a BRB, but this time I'll actually put up the BRB. So until I return, farewell.